Hello there, my name is Kim, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a recap of King Kong from 1933. So this is the original King Kong. So I'm sure you've all heard of King Kong. I wonder how many of you have actually seen the original. This was my first time watching it in this past week and it was incredible. I'll just jump straight into the recap and then I will give some fun facts about how the movie was made at the end. As always with my recap videos, there will be spoilers. So if you don't want the movie spoiled for you, I recommend you go watch it first. So the film starts with a ship that's docked on the New York harbor, where we see wildlife filmmaker Carl Denham excitedly telling Captain Engelhorn and first mate Jack Driscoll about his next voyage, which he charters Engelhorn's ship, known as the Venture, in order to go to an exotic island or exotic place for his next project. He doesn't divulge too much information to Engelhorn, but he does ensure that there are many crew members on board, as well as a whole heap of gas bombs. So he doesn't just want to explore, he actually wants to turn this into a film, and what brings in large crowds and lots of money is a female, I guess a little bit of a romance arc he's looking for. He has been trying to pinpoint an actress, however, because it is quite a long voyage, requiring possibly up to a few months at sea, none of the actresses that he was trying to get were that keen. So he sets out on the streets of New York City in order to find a leading lady. He eventually comes across a lady by the name of Anne Darrow, who's down on her luck to say the least, resorting to stealing food just so she can eat. So she faints from exhaustion and Denham rescues / kind of like kidnaps her and puts her into a taxi, which seems a bit sinister looking at it through a 2024 lens. However, he does take her to a cafe where she can grab something to eat and something to drink. He promises her the adventure of a lifetime if she joins him, plus paid work as well. And this poor lady who's down on her luck seems like, you know, who wouldn't pass up an opportunity like that? So she agrees to it and the Venture sets sail. So Denham finally reveals to Engelhorn and Jack that they're actually going to uncharted waters because he has word of a place called Skull Island where the mysterious Kong lives. Engelhorn has heard of this, however, they're not sure if Kong is actually a physical being or if it's just, you know, folklore, a legend on the island. Whatever the case may be, it's a very unique filming opportunity. They eventually arrive at Skull Island, where they witness a native tribe preparing a young woman to be the bride of Kong as an offering. However, the ceremony is interrupted as the chief spots Denham and his crew. The chief approaches them and Engelhorn is able to communicate with them a little bit. They see Anne, who is a blonde lady. They've never seen a blonde woman before. The chief offers to trade 6 women for her. They refuse and they peacefully return back to the ship. Also, during the voyage, Jack actually falls in love with Anne. Later that night, Anne is actually kidnapped by the natives. They take her through the giant doors that were a part of the wall and they tie her to 2 pillars because she's going to be the offering to Kong. And as a side note, obviously the villagers built this giant wall to keep Kong out, but what I don't understand is why they made such a big door, you know, big enough for Kong to fit through. Wouldn't you just make a normal human-sized door to send your offerings through? But anyway, of course, only I would think too much into this. So back on the ship, the crew members realize that Anne is missing and they just know straight away that the natives kidnapped her. They arm themselves with rifles and gas bombs and head back to the island. The chief summons Kong with a giant gong they have on top of the wall. So Kong comes along, he sees Anne, he takes quite the liking to her. He picks her up and takes her away, presumably back to his home. We find out later on that he lives in a giant cave on a mountain. She's taken away just as Denham and his crew arrive to see this happening. Thus begins a perilous journey through the jungle to rescue her. Got to commend these guys for going after a giant ape to rescue one person, because during this journey they encounter a Stegosaurus, a Brontosaurus, and then Kong himself. And by the end of it, even with all those crew members, it ends up just being Denim and Jack as the sole survivors by the time they make their third encounter with the third beast, which is Kong. So Jack tells Denim to go back to the ship and get more men while he pursues Kong and rescues Anne. Then comes one of the scenes King Kong is most known for, the famous fight between Kong and a T-Rex that was hungry, sniffing around for food, and thought Anne was going to make the perfect snack. So we learn quickly that Kong is very protective of Anne and will stop at nothing to make sure that she's safe, and will fight anybody who tries to cause her any harm. And poor Anne cannot catch a break, this girl. If almost being eaten by a T-Rex wasn't bad enough, she's then attacked by an Elasmosaurus, and then is almost kidnapped by a Pteranodon. It's like everything on this island just wants her dead. So while Kong is dealing with the Pteranodon, Jack, who had been following them back to Kong's cave, rescues Anne, and they start climbing down a vine to escape Kong. Kong notices this and he tries to pull the vine up, so Jack and Anne drop into the lake below. They manage to run back through the jungle all the way back to the village where Denim is waiting for them. He's brought in the cavalry, he's brought in basically the rest of the crew members. I guess any artillery that they didn't bring the first time around is there as well. So as you can imagine, Kong is on his way back to the village and he is pissed. He bursts through this gate and just starts killing villagers left and right. Denim is now determined to capture Kong and bring him back to New York. So they essentially lure Kong to the beach, where Denim hurls a gas bomb at him and this knocks Kong out. So the scene changes to New York City, so they've brought Kong back to America. Denim decides that he would like to present Kong at a Broadway theater. I mean, is that the most New York City thing you've ever heard or what? He proclaims Kong as the 8th wonder of the world. And the curtain lifts to reveal a shackled Kong on a platform.
Wow! Look at the size of that platform!
Denim had invited the press. He also, romanticizes the story. So rather than creating a film like he originally intended, he decided to bring this beast back, and the romantic element of the story is that Anne and Jack fell in love and are actually engaged. So he invites the press to take photos of himself, Jack, and Anne all in front of Kong. Kong does not like the flash photography one little bit. Kong's rage causes him to break out of his chains and everyone flees the theater. Jack takes Anne to a hotel room. It's pretty high up, on about the 10th floor or so, to keep her safe. Kong ends up finding them and reaches in. Jack tries to fight back, however he is knocked over. Doesn't really look like it's a powerful knock, but enough to knock him to the ground but not kill him, because we need to propel this story forward in some way. Kong, having knocked Jack out, is now able to grab Anne, pull her out of the window and kidnap her again. Kong continues his rampage throughout New York City, destroying an elevated train before climbing the Empire State Building. Upon learning this, Jack heads to the authorities and he encourages them to use planes in order to shoot Kong down. And finally, this is where we see the most iconic scene from the film, Kong at the top of the Empire State Building, swatting at the planes that are flying by and shooting at him. So at this point, Kong has put Anne down as he's swatting away at the planes. He does manage to destroy one. However, eventually he succumbs to his injuries from all the bullets. He takes one last look at Anne and falls to his death. After Kong falls from the building, Jack takes an elevator up to the top to rescue Anne. We then see Denim push through the crowd of people who came together to witness Kong's dead body now lying on the streets of New York. A police officer comments on how the planes were what finally killed Kong, and Denim replies, "No, it wasn't the airplanes. it was beauty that killed the beast. And that is the end of the movie. I deliberately chose an easy look to do because while this movie is an hour and 40 minutes long, compared to some of the other horror movies I've talked about that have only been an hour 20 or an hour 30, not that much happens in this movie really. Like a lot of the scenes I talked about actually lasted for several minutes, but it's really easy to, you know, summarize what happens. So I've just finished my eyes. I've still got lips to do, so hopefully I can do that and finish talking at the same time. So some fun facts. King Kong was the first movie made using both live action and stop motion in this particular way. They used rear projection as well. It was basically the first film to combine so many different filming styles and techniques that hadn't really been explored at the time. This was 1933, so a very long time ago. And these methods help make everything look seamless. You know, when you've got, you know, human-sized characters looking at something very, very big. If we were to compare this to Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, which came out about 20 years later, the scene where Nancy is big and she's walking alongside power lines, the way they completed this was, it looks like they layered 2 strips of film on top of each other, which makes Nancy transparent. So it sort of takes away the realism a bit there. I then learned later on that the budget for Attack of the 50-Foot Woman was actually quite low. It was $88,000, which in today's currency works out to be about 1.1 million. So, which isn't much money at all if you think about it. So they were actually quite resourceful to make a movie on a budget that small. The budget for King Kong was about $670,000, which converted to today's currency is about a little bit over $15 million. So I can definitely see where that 15 million went. My lashes are pinging off. I'll fix them in a sec. I'll finish my lipstick first, then I'll fix my eyelashes. So I mentioned the stop motion before. The famous fight scene between King Kong and the T-Rex took 7 weeks to make. That's how long of a process stop motion is. Oh, this lipstick did not apply the way I wanted it to at all, but we're just gonna run with it. Honestly, I could go on and on about the special effects used. So many different techniques we use. I literally just glazed over them. If you're interested, I highly recommend looking into it yourself and seeing exactly what they did to achieve the effects in the film. A lot of things to do with special effects do go over my head, and I feel like I just wouldn't be able to explain it properly, and I don't just want to like read it off of a website either unless I fully understand how they achieved something. Kong's roar was created by mixing the roars of lions and tigers, and then they played it backwards and slowed it down. The film score was unlike anything that had been done at the time. They essentially reined in a new era of the way music was used in film. They had a 46-piece orchestra. Yeah, so no surprises that King Kong is considered one of the greatest movies of all time. So that's all I have. I finished my makeup on time, even though I'm not really happy with this lip, combo. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recap. Have you seen King Kong? Do you think you will see it? If you like this video, please feel free to like this video and please subscribe as well. I would greatly appreciate it. With that said, I will be seeing you all again next week. Bye.